Welcome to our video on 20 inspiring Native American leaders who shaped history. From the early days of European colonization to the modern era, these remarkable individuals stood as symbols of courage, resilience, and leadership. In this video, we'll explore the lives and legacies of iconic figures like Pocahontas, who bridged cultures during the Jamestown settlement, and Squanto, the Patuxet tribesman who saved the Pilgrims from starvation. We'll dive into the stories of legendary warriors like Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull, who fought to protect their people's lands and way of life. You'll also learn about visionary leaders like Sequoyah, who created the Cherokee writing system, and Wilma Mankiller, the first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. From the battlefields to the courts, these leaders left an indelible mark on history. So, join us as we celebrate their incredible contributions and explore how their legacies continue to inspire us today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of courage and leadership. Let's get started. Tan and the English. Pocahontas traveled to England in 1616, where she was presented as a civilized savage to promote the success of the Jamestown colony. Tragically, she fell ill and died in 1617 at the age of 21, just as she was preparing to return to Virginia. Pocahontas's life represents both the potential for cultural exchange and the devastating impact of colonization on native peoples. 2. Squanto, Tisquantum, 1585 to 1622. Squanto, also known as Tisquantum, was a Patuxet tribesman who played a crucial role in the survival of the Pilgrims at Plymouth Colony. His life was marked by extraordinary hardship and resilience. Around 1614, Squanto was captured by English explorers and taken to Europe, where he was sold into slavery in Spain. He eventually escaped to England, where he learned the English language and customs. After several years, he returned to North America, only to discover that his entire tribe had been wiped out by disease brought by European settlers. In 1621, Squanto encountered the Pilgrims, who were struggling to survive in the unfamiliar environment. He taught them how to cultivate corn, fish, and use natural resources, skills that were essential for their survival. Squanto also served as an interpreter and mediator between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag Confederacy, helping to establish a fragile peace. His efforts culminated in the first Thanksgiving celebration in 1621, a symbol of cooperation between the settlers and Native Americans. However, Squanto's life was not without controversy. He sometimes used his position to manipulate both sides for personal gain. He died in 1622, leaving behind a complex legacy as both a savior and a survivor of colonialism. 3. Chief Massasoit, 1580 to 1661. Chief Massasoit, also known as Usamaquin, was the sachem, leader, of the Wampanoag Confederacy during a critical period in early American history. His leadership was instrumental in maintaining peace between the Wampanoag and the English settlers of Plymouth Colony. In 1621, Massasoit signed a treaty with the Pilgrims, pledging mutual protection and cooperation. This alliance was crucial for the survival of the Pilgrims, who relied on the Wampanoag for food and knowledge of the land. Massasoit's decision to ally with the English was strategic. He hoped to strengthen his position against rival tribes, such as the Narragansett. Despite occasional tensions, Massasoit maintained peaceful relations with the settlers for over 4 decades. His leadership ensured the survival of both the Wampanoag and the colonists during a time of great uncertainty. However, after Massasoit's death in 1661, the fragile peace began to unravel. His son, Metacom, known as King Philip, would later lead a devastating war against the colonists in 1675, known as King Philip's War. Massasoit's legacy is one of diplomacy and the challenges of navigating coexistence in the face of colonization. 4. Joseph Brant, Thayendanegea, 1743 to 1807. Joseph Brant, born Thayendanegea, was a Mohawk military and political leader who played a significant role during the American Revolutionary War. He was a staunch ally of the British, believing that their victory would protect Native American lands from colonial expansion. Brant was educated in English schools and became fluent in both Mohawk and English, making him a skilled negotiator and leader. During the Revolutionary War, he led the Mohawk and other Iroquois Confederacy tribes in raids against American settlements, particularly in New York and Pennsylvania. After the war, Brant relocated to Canada, where he worked to secure land for his people. He helped establish the Six Nations Reserve along the Grand River in Ontario, where many Mohawk and other Iroquois people settled. Brant also promoted education and cultural preservation, advocating for the rights of Native Americans in the face of increasing European encroachment. His legacy is complex. While he is celebrated as a defender of Native sovereignty, his alliance with the British also contributed to the division and displacement of Native communities. 5. Pontiac, 1720 to 1769. Pontiac, an Ottawa war chief, is best known for leading a widespread Native American rebellion against British rule in the Great Lakes region after the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763. This conflict, known as Pontiac's War, 1763 to 1766, was sparked by Native dissatisfaction with British policies, including the cessation of gift-giving and the encroachment of settlers on Native lands. Pontiac united tribes from the Ottawa, Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Huron, and others in a coordinated effort to drive the British out of the region. In 1763, Pontiac led a siege of Fort Detroit, which lasted for months and inspired similar attacks on other British forts. Although the rebellion ultimately failed to expel the British, it forced them to reconsider their policies. The British issued the Proclamation of 1763, which prohibited colonial settlement west of the Appalachian Mountains, a move intended to reduce tensions with native tribes. Pontiac's leadership and vision of pan-tribal unity inspired later native resistance movements. Tragically, he was assassinated in 1769 by a Peoria tribesman, possibly at the instigation of British officials. Pontiac's legacy endures as a symbol of native resistance to colonialism. 6. Tecumseh, 1768 to 1813. Tecumseh, a Shawnee leader, was one of the most influential Native American figures of the early 19th century. He sought to unite tribes across North America to resist U.S. expansion and preserve native lands and cultures. Tecumseh's vision of a pan-tribal confederation was rooted in the belief that only through unity could Native Americans withstand the encroachment of settlers. His brother, Tenskwatawa, the prophet, played a key role in this movement by promoting cultural and spiritual revival among Native peoples. Tecumseh's efforts culminated in the formation of a large alliance of tribes in the Old Northwest and the South. During the War of 1812, he allied with the British, hoping that their victory would secure native sovereignty. Tecumseh fought in several key battles, including the Siege of Detroit and the Battle of the Thames. It was at the Battle of the Thames in 1813 that Tecumseh was killed, marking the end of his confederation. Despite his death, Tecumseh's legacy as a visionary leader and unyielding defender of native rights continues to inspire. 7. Sacagawea, 1788 to 1812. Sacagawea, a Lemhi Shoshone woman, is celebrated for her invaluable contributions to the Lewis and Clark Expedition, 1804 to 1806. At just 16 years old, she joined the expedition with her husband, French-Canadian trader Toussaint Charbonneau, and their infant son, Jean-Baptiste. Sacagawea's presence was crucial. She served as an interpreter, guide, and diplomat, helping the expedition navigate the unfamiliar terrain and establish peaceful relations with native tribes. Her knowledge of the land and its resources was instrumental in the expedition's success. For example, she recognized landmarks in her homeland, such as the Shoshone territory, and facilitated trade for horses needed to cross the Rocky Mountains. Sacagawea's calm demeanor and resilience also boosted the morale of the expedition members. After the journey, little is known about her later life, but her legacy as a symbol of Native American contributions to American history remains enduring. The Sacagawea dollar coin, issued in 2000, honors her memory. 8. Sequoia, 1770 to 1843. Sequoia, a Cherokee silversmith and polymath, is renowned for creating the Cherokee syllabary, a written system for the Cherokee language. Born in present-day Tennessee, Sequoia was fascinated by the written communication of European settlers and sought to create a similar system for his people. Despite being illiterate in English, he spent over a decade developing a syllabary consisting of 85 characters, each representing a syllable in the Cherokee language. Completed in 1821, the syllabary was quickly adopted by the Cherokee Nation, leading to widespread literacy and the publication of the Cherokee Phoenix, the first Native American newspaper. Sequoia's invention not only preserved the Cherokee language but also empowered his people to document their history and culture. His work is a testament to Native ingenuity and resilience in the face of cultural assimilation. Sequoia's legacy lives on in the Cherokee language, which remains one of the few Native languages with a robust written tradition. 9. Osceola, 1804 to 1838. Osceola, a Seminole leader, became a symbol of resistance during the Second Seminole War, 1835 to 1842, one of the longest and costliest conflicts between Native Americans and the U.S. government. Born in present-day Alabama, Osceola moved to Florida as a young man and emerged as a prominent leader among the Seminole. He fiercely opposed the U.S. government's efforts to relocate the Seminole to reservations west of the Mississippi River under the Indian Removal Act. Osceola's guerrilla tactics and strategic brilliance made him a formidable opponent. He led successful attacks against U.S. forces, including the ambush of Major Francis Dade's troops in 1835, which marked the beginning of the war. Despite his successes, Osceola was captured in 1837 under a flag of truce, a controversial act that violated the rules of warfare. He was imprisoned at Fort Moultrie in South Carolina, where he died of illness in 1838. Osceola's defiance and leadership continue to inspire Native resistance and pride. 10. Crazy Horse, 1840 to 1877. Crazy Horse, an Oglala Lakota warrior, is one of the most iconic figures in Native American history. Known for his bravery, humility, and visionary leadership, Crazy Horse played a central role in resisting U.S. expansion into Lakota territory. He fought in several key battles, including the Fetterman Fight, 1866, and the Battle of the Little Bighorn, 1876, where he helped defeat General George Custer's forces. Crazy Horse's leadership was rooted in his deep connection to Lakota traditions and his commitment to preserving his people's way of life. Unlike many other leaders, he refused to be photographed or sign treaties, believing that doing so would compromise his spirit. In 1877, Crazy Horse surrendered to U.S. forces, but he was killed while in custody under suspicious circumstances. His legacy as a symbol of Native resistance and cultural pride endures, and the Crazy Horse Memorial in South Dakota, still under construction, honors his memory. 11. Sitting Bull, 1831 to 1890. Sitting Bull, a Hunkpapa Lakota leader, is one of the most iconic figures in Native American history. Born in present-day South Dakota, he became a spiritual and political leader of his people, known for his wisdom, courage, and unwavering commitment to Lakota sovereignty. Sitting Bull played a central role in the resistance against U.S. expansion, particularly during the Great Sioux War of 1876-77. He is best known for his leadership at the Battle of the Little Bighorn in 1876, where Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors defeated General George Custer's 7th Cavalry. After the battle, Sitting Bull and his followers fled to Canada to avoid U.S. retaliation. He returned to the U.S. in 1881 and was held as a prisoner of war for 2 years. Despite his confinement, Sitting Bull remained a symbol of resistance and hope for his people. In his later years, he joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, where he gained international fame but also used the platform to advocate for Native rights. Sitting Bull was killed in 1890 during a confrontation with Indian police, who were attempting to arrest him amid fears of his involvement in the Ghost Dance movement. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy as a defender of Native sovereignty and culture endures. 12. Geronimo, 1829 to 1909. Geronimo, a Chiricahua Apache leader, is one of the most famous Native American warriors in history. Born in present-day Arizona, he became a prominent leader during the Apache Wars, resisting U.S. and Mexican efforts to remove his people from their ancestral lands. Geronimo's name became synonymous with fearlessness and defiance, as he led raids and evaded capture for decades. In 1886, after years of relentless pursuit by U.S. forces, Geronimo surrendered, marking the end of the Apache Wars. He and his followers were sent to Florida, Alabama, and eventually Oklahoma as prisoners of war. Despite his captivity, Geronimo remained a symbol of resistance and resilience. In his later years, he participated in public events, including the 1904 World's Fair, and even rode in President Theodore Roosevelt's inaugural parade in 1905. Geronimo died in 1909, but his legacy as a warrior and defender of Apache freedom lives on. 13. Red Cloud, 1822 to 1909. Red Cloud, an Oglala Lakota leader, is best known for his role in Red Cloud's War, 1866 to 1868, one of the most successful Native American campaigns against U.S. forces. Born in present-day Nebraska, Red Cloud became a prominent leader of the Lakota, uniting tribes to resist the construction of the Bozeman Trail, which threatened their hunting grounds and way of life. Red Cloud's war culminated in the Fetterman Fight, 1866, where Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors annihilated a U.S. Army detachment. The conflict ended with the Treaty of Fort Laramie in 1868, which granted the Lakota control over the Powder River Country. Despite this victory, Red Cloud later faced criticism for his decision to settle on the reservation and advocate for peace. He spent his later years working to improve conditions for his people, though he remained critical of U.S. policies. Red Cloud's legacy is one of both resistance and diplomacy, reflecting the complexities of Native leadership during a time of immense change. 14. Black Hawk, 1767 to 1838. Black Hawk, a Sauk leader, is best known for leading the Black Hawk War, 1832, a resistance against U.S. expansion into Sauk territory in present-day Illinois and Wisconsin. Born in the Sauk village of Saukenuk, Black Hawk fought alongside the British during the War of 1812, hoping to secure native sovereignty. However, after the war, the U.S. government pressured the Sauk to cede their lands, leading to the Treaty of 1804, which Black Hawk disputed. In 1832, Black Hawk led a group of Sauk, Fox, and Kickapoo warriors and their families back to their ancestral lands, sparking the Black Hawk War. Despite initial successes, the conflict ended in defeat at the Battle of Bad Axe. Black Hawk was captured and imprisoned, but he later toured the eastern U.S., where his autobiography became a bestseller. His life and resistance symbolized the struggle of Native peoples to retain their lands and identity in the face of colonization. 15. Cochise, 1805 to 1874. Cochise, a Chiricahua Apache leader, is remembered for his fierce resistance to U.S. and Mexican encroachment on Apache lands in the Southwest. Born in present-day Arizona, Cochise became a prominent leader during the Apache Wars, known for his strategic brilliance and ability to unite Apache bands. In 1861, tensions escalated when Cochise was falsely accused of kidnapping a settler's child, leading to a decade-long conflict known as the Cochise War. Cochise and his followers used the rugged terrain of the Apache homeland to their advantage, evading capture and launching devastating raids. In 1872, after years of conflict, Cochise negotiated a peace treaty with General Oliver O. Howard, securing a reservation for his people in the Dragoon Mountains. Cochise died in 1874, but his legacy as a defender of Apache freedom and sovereignty endures. His leadership inspired later Apache leaders, including Geronimo. 16. Chief Seattle, Self, 1786 to 1866. Chief Seattle, a Suquamish and Duwamish leader, is best known for his eloquent speech on environmental stewardship and the relationship between humans and nature. Born in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle became a prominent leader, known for his diplomacy and efforts to maintain peace between native tribes and European settlers. In 1854, Seattle delivered a speech, later translated and adapted, during treaty negotiations, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all living things and the importance of preserving the land. His words have become a cornerstone of environmental and indigenous rights movements. Despite his efforts to coexist with settlers, Seattle's people faced displacement and loss of their lands. His legacy as a visionary leader and advocate for harmony between humans and nature continues to resonate globally. 17. Hiawatha, 15th to 16th century. Hiawatha, a legendary figure among the Iroquois, Haudenosaunee, is credited with co-founding the Iroquois Confederacy, one of the oldest participatory democracies in the world. Alongside the Great Peacemaker, Hiawatha worked to unite the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca nations into a powerful alliance based on peace, justice, and mutual respect. Hiawatha's efforts to promote unity and resolve conflicts among the tribes were instrumental in the Confederacy's success. The Iroquois Confederacy served as a model for governance and diplomacy, influencing later political systems, including the U.S. Constitution. While much of Hiawatha's life is shrouded in legend, his legacy as a peacemaker and unifier remains central to Iroquois identity and history. 18. Standing Bear, 1829 to 1908. Standing Bear, a Ponca leader, is celebrated for his landmark legal victory in Standing Bear v. Crook, 1879, which established that Native Americans are persons under U.S. law. Born in present-day Nebraska, Standing Bear and his people were forcibly removed to Indian Territory, Oklahoma, in 1877, where many died from disease and starvation. In 1879, Standing Bear led a group of Ponca back to their homeland, where he was arrested. His trial became a landmark case, with Standing Bear famously declaring, "I am a man." The court ruled in his favor, marking a significant step forward for Native American civil rights. Standing Bear's courage and determination continue to inspire indigenous rights movements. 19. Wilma Mankiller, 1945 to 2010. Wilma Mankiller, the first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, is a symbol of Native American leadership and empowerment. Born in Oklahoma, Mankiller overcame poverty and adversity to become a prominent activist and leader. She worked to improve healthcare, education, and infrastructure for the Cherokee people, emphasizing community development and self-reliance. Mankiller's leadership transformed the Cherokee Nation, and she became a role model for indigenous women worldwide. Her legacy as a trailblazer and advocate for social justice continues to inspire future generations. 20. Russell Means, 1939 to 2012. Russell Means, an Oglala Lakota activist, was a prominent leader of the American Indian Movement, AIM. Known for his charisma and outspoken advocacy, Means fought for Native American rights, sovereignty, and cultural preservation. He participated in key events, including the occupation of Alcatraz Island, 1969, and the Wounded Knee Incident, 1973, which brought national attention to Native issues. Means also pursued a career in acting and writing, using his platform to raise awareness about indigenous struggles. His legacy as a fearless advocate for Native rights and self-determination remains influential.